Have you ever wondered if a mother's love could be so powerful, so fierce, that not even death could stop it? Well, today we're diving into a story like that. We're going to a village that looks perfectly normal during the day, but trust me, once the sun goes down, a terrifying secret comes out to play.
Right, so in this village, Belpor, when night falls, it's like a switch is flipped. The entire atmosphere changes. There's this heavy feeling of dread that just creeps through the streets, and it's all because of one single spectral figure. The locals, they whisper about her. They say they see a woman, just sitting there under this ancient peepal tree. Her form is hazy, almost like smoke, but her grief is crystal clear. And she asks the same question over and over again. A question that just gets under your skin. Where is my child? That question is the heart of this whole story, and we're about to find out why she's asking it.
To really get what's happening with the ghost, you first have to understand the woman. We have to peel back the layers and look at the very human tragedy that started all of this. This is the story of Anjali. For 8 long years, Anjali was basically a prisoner in her own home. I mean, from the very first week she was married, she knew this wasn't about love or partnership. She was treated like a servant there for one reason: to endure their cruelty day in and day out. And you know, what's so heartbreaking is just how petty the cruelty was. Her in-laws would constantly throw her dowry in her face, taunting her about what little her family could give. 2 pots and an old cupboard. Imagine having your entire worth reduced to that. That was the soundtrack to her life. But the abuse went so much deeper than just insults about money. The most vicious weapon they used against her was a lie. A carefully crafted lie that was designed to completely isolate her and, well, ultimately to seal her fate. And you can see just how systematic it was. It starts with whispers, right? Then those whispers get louder. They turn into taunts. They brand her with this incredibly painful label: barren. And to make it stick, her in-laws invent a whole story about a doctor's visit, a complete fabrication just to put all the blame on her. Before she knows it, her own husband is mocking her in public, and that lie spreads like poison until the entire village shuns her. And this quote, this from her husband Raghuvir, it just lays the whole ugly truth bare. Her entire being, her worth as a person, was boiled down to a single biological function. In his eyes, if she couldn't give him a child, she was, and I quote, useless. But then, after 5 years of this absolute torment, something happens. A moment that should have been a miracle, a moment of pure joy, finally arrives. But in a house like this, even a blessing can feel like a curse. So one day, after feeling sick, Anjali goes to see a doctor, and she gets the news. She's pregnant. The story says that when she got home, she just sat in front of a mirror for the longest time, with a genuine smile on her face for the first time in years. She truly believed this baby was going to change everything. Okay, we need to pause here for a second because this is so important to the story. The term Garbhavati. In folklore, this refers to the spirit of a woman who dies while she's pregnant. And these spirits, they are considered among the most powerful and the most vengeful. Think about it. They're driven by this intense combination of a mother's unfulfilled love and this white-hot rage born from injustice. Remember that. And this right here, this is where the tragedy really hits you. For Anjali, this is a miracle. A life is growing inside her. It's a gift from God. But for her family, it's a transaction. They don't see a child, they see an heir. They call her nothing more than a vessel and openly talk about getting rid of her once the baby is born, because why should they have to carry her burden? That little bit of hope she had was just completely crushed.
Now, we're at the moment that turns the story from a tragic tale of abuse into an outright horror story. This is the point of no return.
So being pregnant didn't change a thing. In fact, things got worse. They were starving her. She was still being forced to work from sunup to sundown. Her body was just wasting away. A doctor gives her a terrifying warning. If this keeps up, neither she nor her baby will survive. And the final horrific event? You'd think it would be over something huge, right? No. It was about cold food. Her father-in-law complains, shoves his plate. And that's all it takes. Her drunk husband, Raghuvir, his eyes filled with rage, just turns on her. He beats her without mercy, kicks, slaps, throws her against a wall.
As she falls to the floor in that agony, her only instinct is to protect her child. She wraps her arms around her stomach, and her last words are just this desperate plea. My baby is inside.
And then there's just silence. And maybe the most chilling part of this whole nightmare, her mother-in-law and father-in-law are right there, in the room. They watch the whole thing happen, and they do absolutely nothing.
And just when you think it cannot possibly get any colder, any more cruel, as Anjali lies there dead on the floor, her mother-in-law, Shantabai, looks down at her body and says, "Good, the trouble is over. No fear, no remorse, just relief." Their plan, to just bury her in a field behind the house and pretend she never existed.
But here's the thing, you can't just bury a spirit like a Garbhavati. You can't bury that kind of rage, that level of injustice. Anjali, the woman, might have been gone, but her spirit and her unanswered question were about to make a comeback. And the haunting, it just builds and builds. On the third night, it starts with the faint sound of a baby crying. Then the whole village starts talking about seeing a weeping woman under the peepal tree. Back in the house, the terror ramps up. They hear Anjali's screams. They see visions of her rocking a phantom child. It all comes to a head one night when the three of them, the husband and his parents, huddled together in one room, thinking they'll be safe. But there's no hiding from her.
In the pitch black of that room, her spirit appears, and she asks them that one single question they can never, ever answer. Where is my child? An invisible force just presses down on all three of them until they can't breathe, can't even scream. By morning, they're all found dead.
So her murderers are gone. A kind of justice has been served, right? But is that enough? Does that finally bring peace to a spirit that was born from so much pain? The villagers are terrified, obviously. They call a holy man, they find Anjali's body, her hands still clutching her stomach, and they give her the proper cremation she was denied. They do all the rituals to try and pacify her spirit, but it doesn't work. The people of Belpore say, to this day, you can still see her, still wandering, forever searching for the child she never got to hold.
And that really leaves us with this final thought, doesn't it? I mean, Angela's story is a chilling ghost story, for